Look guys, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's going on. Now this is not the only thing that I'm talking about, but big in the news, Eastern Idaho farmers may soon be out of water after the state issues a major curtailment. I've got clips of probably the biggest, most reputable ranchers, cattle ranchers, explaining what's really going on. I don't think people realize Idaho's 25,000 farms and ranches produce more than 185 different commodities, and we're ranked in the top 10 in the US production for more than 25 crops and livestock. I don't think you guys realize that's gonna have a lot more to do with your beef. So if you guys don't eat beef, that's not, do you eat potatoes? Folks, this has to do with all food. Don't be fooled, it's not just Idaho, it's everywhere. Did you know California produces a lot of food? We're talking about dozens of crops and commodities. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, all that. In fact, California leads the nation in growth and production of many different crops, and some are grown only in California. And I've told you what's going on in California. This means, according to the CDFA statistics, California grows 99% of commercially produced crops in the United States. Folks, when your attention is often to conflict all over the world, there is a major conflict going right here. Because what happens when this food supply is not only ruined, it's sold off to other countries, and then all this conflict, what if it comes down to war someday and we get everything from somewhere else? Meanwhile, we got a lot of questionable people buying up all the farmland. And another really important thing that's going on right now that affects you. Again, you don't have to be a meat eater, but to know what China is now doing, unless you're getting your stuff from a reputable place that doesn't put all the garbage into the meat. Because you know, the big dogs up top, they want to control everything and feed everyone, and then they end up making everything. They start cutting corners because they put profit over people. And before you know it, the cheap stuff's all going overseas. Some of our good stuff is going overseas, and they're selling it to the highest bidder. Well, now China don't even want what we got. A little intro to what we're going to get into.
Now, folks, we have to discuss something. China is officially canceled its wheat orders from America, and now it's beef orders from America. Why should you care? Because, folks, when China says that our beef is poison and they refuse to feed it to their people, China, let me repeat that. China said, nope, we're not eating this. Our people are not eating this because there was a toxin found in the beef supply. So they canceled wheat orders, they canceled beef orders. What does that mean? First off, that means that we're at war without firing a shot. America exports quite a bit of food to the remainder of the world. And when other countries refuse to purchase our food, we are losing. Our farmers are losing. If they can't make money growing food, they lose their farmlands. They can't pay the taxes. They can't pay the insurance. So they're going to lose their hundreds and hundreds of acres. That's going to get bought up.
Isn't that what we're watching happen before our eyes for those of us that are paying attention? Look, before we get going, please share this out. People need to know this. I'm about to share a lot of great information with you. Let's go. My name is Cohen here at Riverside Homestead, and if you're brand new here, welcome. If you guys are into prepping tips, emergency preparedness, and most of all, news and awareness, stuff that you want to know about, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. Now, they're calling this a government-imposed water crisis. And it's not just going to affect meat. It's going to affect a lot of farms. It's going to affect a lot of produce. And when you guys learn about what's in beef that's being sold to everybody out there, to the point where China won't even want to buy it, you're going to want to start telling people. Really. It's poisons. People wonder why things are going so foul these days. Why are attentions way over there and way over here when there's an actual problem right here where we're at? And before I dive into what you guys need to know, when I have a solution to a problem that we're talking about, I like to share it. If you guys aren't already shopping from a local farmer that does things the way you would want them, because you got to be careful. A lot of people are out there under a jurisdiction, have to follow certain protocol. But if you want stuff that's untainted, and folks, it takes a privately owned, debt-free kind of company to offer this type of product to you. We have the best source that I have found thus far for the best beef hamburger, and guess what? Even beef hot dogs. The type of hot dogs that used to be real hot dogs back in the day that we all question nowadays because we know what goes into a hot dog, and to get a real one, you gotta spend 15 bucks a pack. So that's right, if you guys are looking for a good option, click on the link down below. While you're at it, know that we have access to 500 other things that are American made, non-toxic, and supporting family-owned business that's against all that stuff that we complain about. It is an era where we finally have to vote with our dollar or stop complaining about it. Okay, now I want to talk to you about Fox News puts out a broadcast with one of the largest beef ranchers that I know that has a incredible reputation. He helps a ton of other ranchers along the way. I want you guys to hear what he has to say, but first let's hear from my friend Sam. She's from Starkey Farmstead, and this definitely caught my attention. You can watch her video. I'll put a pin to it at the end of the video, possibly down in the description. But what she found out about China not even wanting our stuff because of what they found in the beef is a little bit shocking.
China is officially canceled its wheat orders from America, and now it's beef orders from America. Why should you care? Because, folks, when China says that our beef is poison and they refuse to feed it to their people, China, let me repeat that. China said, nope, we're not eating this. Our people are not eating this because there was a toxin found in the beef supply.
China, of all places, finds a toxin in the meat, so they cancel the meat orders and the wheat orders. Now I know some of you guys have already put this together. When we sell to the entire world, when we sell to our entire country, and then they say, well, we're not buying it. Farmers lose money. Then what happens? Well, you got insurance, you got the cost, and then in the background, you got some savior buying up all the farmland. Can you guys see what's going on? I know you guys are wondering, what in the heck did they find in the meat? Check it out.
They will not purchase our beef any longer in China. So it looks like ractopamine was found in this beef. Now, 160 countries have banned the food additive ractopamine for a reason. It will depress animals, okay? So let me first tell you, what is ractopamine? It is a food additive used in livestock feed, okay? They feed it to the animal to get them to more quickly produce lean muscle mass. Here's some of the problems with ractopamine. It depresses animals. It psychologically depresses animals. It causes tachycardia. It causes heart problems. It causes anxiety. People have allergic reactions to it. But the EPA and the USDA said, no, not a problem. It's good for you. Just eat it.
All at the same time as 160 countries say, not here, including the EU, including China. Guys, a lot of the feed has that in it. It has it in it. Now look, she goes into a lot more great information, including who's selling the stuff, who doesn't sell the stuff, who's against the stuff. Again, check out our video if you guys want to learn more about that, but I want to show you a little bit more about what's going on in Idaho right now.
Lander Salute. Frank, good to see you. Thanks for being with us. We've been doing these stories, Frank, on our show, and it seems like We continually have government trying to impede, make more difficult the lives of farmers, the success of farmers.
Okay, now real quick, if you guys don't know Frank Vandersloot, he is, I think, the biggest cattle rancher in Idaho, one of the most reputable clean meat ranchers that I know. Incredibly smart, so it's really interesting to hear his perspective.
And I can't help but come to the conclusion that there is a concerted attack on the American farmer from our government.
Well, thank you for shining some light on what's happening here in our neck of the woods. It's really alarming. Had you told me just 2 weeks ago that this was going to happen, I nor anybody else would have believed you, but it did. The Department of Water Resources in the state of Idaho demanded that 500,000 acres be turned off. In one of the best water years we've ever had in the last decade, they're saying you got to turn off your water, which and the crops are already in. It will devastate not only these farmers, hundreds and hundreds of farmers, but the entire economic system in southeastern Idaho. Thousands of jobs. Dairies will be without feed. Ranchers, feedlots, industry in general, barley plants. We have large plants here that take barley and make it into malt for beer.
Now, folks, if you don't already know, a lot of these reputable farmers, ranchers, a lot like Frank, they use and they care about using non-GMO, planting their own feedstock for all the cattle, and cutting off the water has everything to do with cutting them off at the knees, because that's how they produce a good animal. And again, it's not just the animals that we're talking about. We're talking about potatoes. We're talking about barley. There's all kinds of stuff being made in Idaho, in California, and many other states.
Everything's related to this ag industry. It will turn the entire economy upside down.
Right.
This used to be desert until they brought in water. And of course now, after all of these years, they're going to say they got to turn the water off, and the entire economy is based on this. Banks, land property values will go from $10,000 an acre down to $800 an acre if the governor were to pull the trigger on this.
Right. I looked. The governor, put out a statement on Tuesday that he's optimistic about water users closing in on a deal to provide certainty for farmers this year. Well, that statement is a bunch of like feel-good nothingness, Frank. The move was done to try and replenish the Snake River Plain aquifer. But when are you going to get a solution out of this and have the water restored?
Well, the governor is counting on these two groups of farmers, and the two groups are what they call the surface water farmers and the groundwater. Surface farmers are the ones that get their water out of the canals and the rivers. And then the groundwater people, they pump their water out of the ground. And that's the wars that you're talking about going between those folks. But the power companies who are downriver and have all these dams, they're involved in the argument also. Although the law really protects the farming, the power companies are part of it. And the governor is saying, you guys figure it out. But the problem with that is, in my opinion, is that this one group of farmers, the groundwater people, the people who have the wells, the 500,000 acres, they've got a gun to their head now. And not only is the gun to their head, the gun's been cocked. It's been cocked. They heard it click. And he says, now figure this out. The other side just sitting there with their arms folded and saying, yeah, what are you going to do? Yep. And the choice they really have, which is a horrible choice, the way they look at it, lose your farms today or lose your farms little by little over the next 15 to 16 years. Which do you want? Lose it all today or lose it little by little? Because the plan is ultimately to shut down thousands of acres of water.
Right.
Now, hearing from an actual farmer from Idaho that has an incredible reputation and is incredibly intelligent, it's plain as day to see that our food is under attack. Now, when we're talking about old Smitherfields, I know you guys know who I'm talking about, releasing 186,000 tons of toxic chemicals from 41 factories into rivers and lakes between 2018 and 2022 released into the water. And then there's water restrictions on the good water. And you think those companies are the companies like Frank's? No, those are the companies owned by the umbrellas that get to pump the junk into our waterways for years. Oh, and by the way, the chemicals have been linked with cancer, blood disorders, thyroid disease, and brain defects in children. People are starting to see the effects. The sheer scale of the poison flowing into the country's rivers and waterways is starting to emerge after scientists took a look at one of America's biggest meat processors. The old T-word Foods released 87 billion gallons of contaminated with cancer-causing cyanide, nitrates, chloride, phosphorus, and all kinds of crap. You don't think it's hitting us from all sides. Do I even have to mention the bird flu? Pay attention, over 92.34 million birds have been killed since the outbreak began in 2022, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Folks, that's basically 100 million birds from this report. Tell me down in the comments what you guys think. Maybe you know something that I didn't mention. Maybe you'd like me to share something. Put it down in the comments. Now, do we have to label this, call it what it is? Not necessarily. We just need to know that it's happening and be on the defense. Most importantly, be aware, because it's happening. It's absolutely insanity if you ask me. And the crazy thing is, it don't stop. It keeps getting worse. So there's people like us that are aware, pay attention, and try to keep on top of what's going on so we can be better situated when we're out there shopping. Or there's possibly the majority of us out there that are seriously circling the drain, not wanting to pay attention, and time is already showing us and will tell us what happens to those folks. Again, if you guys need safe alternatives and stop supporting all the madness, we've got a great link for you down below. American made, non-toxic, and supporting family owned. Also, if you guys missed this video or this video, also touching on the similar stuff. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you guys on the next one.